The Hume story begins in England with Robert, son of John and Ellen Hume. Robert had an interest in agriculture and left home at 18 to explore the possibility of acquiring land in North America. He returned home to work and borrow enough money to purchase a farm. In 1845, he emigrated and settled in Hamilton Township on this property somewhere between Port Hope and Rice Lake. Robert married Charlotte Jopling, the daughter of the farmer with whom he boarded on his first trip. He branched out as a wholesale grain merchant, advertising choice peas, grains, and cereal produce. Robert and Charlotte had 2 children, John and Alice. John followed in his father's footsteps as a grain and seed merchant based now in Port Hope. He returned to England to marry Sarah Palmer Angus. Sarah was the daughter of Mary Garthorne and John Angus. They lived in Stocksfield, near Newcastle on Tyne. Sarah and John were married in the Baptist Jubilee Chapel on August 30th, 1876 in Broomhaugh. They had 7 children. John Angus was my grandfather, known to everyone as Jack. Twins Margaret and William came later. The families grew and prospered at Tynedale, their homestead. John seized an opportunity to purchase and complete the building of a house in Port Hope. The house was situated on the edge of a bluff at the top of Jacob's Ladder, with a view of the Ganaraska River and the town below. Your great-grandmother Joan remembered 2 large chandeliers in the living room, paintings brought from England, curved stairs to a turret, a conservatory full of plants, and a singing canary. Joan and her cousin Mary were caught one day climbing over the wicker sofa on the porch to get a better view of their grandfather's coffin. In Canada, Sarah continued to practice her Baptist faith. No dancing or playing cards on a Sunday. Going for a walk, calling on relatives, or playing checkers with Aunt Margaret was allowed. Joan refused to be dunked and come out looking like a drowned cat. Little did she know then that baptism was a requirement for marriage. The seed business flourished. John and Sarah sailed back and forth to Britain, doing business and keeping in touch with relatives. Jack was a handsome and generous man who loved life. He found restrictions hard to bear and was known to have run away from Upper Canada College. He married Norma Pauline Gould on December 18, 1912. Ida Adelaide Barriger was Norma's mother. 50 guests attended the fashionable wedding that took place at the home of Mr. and Mrs. Norman Burr Gould. Miss Margaret Hume acted as bridesmaid, and her sister Vera Garfit of Toronto was matron of honor. Norma's father, Norman, conducted a successful mercantile business in Port Perry, Norwood, and Port Hope, whence he acquired a number of properties. He was a member of the Town Council, the Independent Order of Foresters, and the Baptist Church. Jack Hume loved playing sports, especially riding. Norma is patting their horse, Silver. John Hume and son became Hume brothers. Robert went west. In Winnipeg, he married Mona Hogg. They had 4 children, cousins to your great-grandmother Gigi. Jack remained in Port Hope. Business flourished. Robert returned. The adults sailed a number of times overseas, something that worried your great-grandmother, who dreamed of sharks and sinking ships. Bloodroots and snowdrops were blooming when Joan Garthorne Hume was born March 10, 1915, at her parents' home on Barrett's Terrace in Port Hope. The shores of Lake Ontario, Rice Lake, or Stony Lake were popular locations for family picnics. My mother, Joan, relished the freedom of camp, where she stayed in a cabin with her cousin, Catherine Wickett. Joan shared her parents' enthusiasm for horses. She was fond of her father. They skated, saw movies, played badminton, and best of all, rode through the countryside on horseback. Joan didn't like school and didn't go to Hatfield Hall with her sisters. At 17, she applied to train as a nurse at the Wellesley Hospital. At the end of the 3 months probation, there was to be a dance. Joan and her friends did not plan to attend until the threat of lost privileges. Whereupon Joan sent word to Kappa Sigma fraternity that they needed 3 boys. Jabez Vanstone was one of them. Joan completed the 3-year course on January 9th and 12 days later received her certificate from the province of Ontario as a registered nurse. Jack and Norma held many a fancy dinner. From the top of the stairs, Joan and her sisters watched guests arrive, sometimes in costume. At this Christmas gathering, hosted by Robert and Mona at Homewood, we see John Hume's wife Sarah and sister Allie seated at the center. Catherine Wickett, highlighted in yellow, accompanied Joan on a Caribbean cruise, a graduation gift. At 23 years of age, on June 8th, Joan Garthorne Hume married Jabez Charles Vanstone of Bowmanville. The reception was held at the family home, Tynedale, a name carried over from the original homestead. Cousin Catherine, sister Jimmy, and good friend Hildy Schultz Norton were members of the wedding party. Norma's dress, stored in the attic on Poplar Plains, was modeled years later by young descendants. Joan is knitting, preparing for the arrival of me, Nancy Joan Vanstone, Norma Hume's first grandchild. Aunt Nancy was my godmother. She came to help Mother when I was born. I remember the beautiful travel lingerie bags she made for my mother's trousseau, and I remember trying to ride Chum. Joan and Jabe purchased their first home. Visiting as a way of offering love and support was a hallmark of family life. Jack drove to Waterloo, seen here with his grandson, his namesake. Joan stands watch over her children, enjoying a moment of freedom after a long drive. Aunt Peter helped me write this account of my trip to Ottawa. I stayed awake all night to keep the train from crashing. My first overnight visit alone was with cousin Susan Nash. I remember the backyard rink and building houses with rubber mini bricks. Vanstones and Bucks atop a sand dune somewhere near Long Point on Lake Erie. A visit to see our Budge cousins in Port Hope. Bev makes 5 and Dad decides to buy ice cream 2 bricks at a time. A March birthday celebration for Norma. Joan learned from her mother to accept what she could not change, to find the courage to change what she could, and the wisdom to know the difference. Autumn must be around the corner. I see asters and dahlias, and remember a spring with hundreds of daffodils all along the white picket fence. Joan and Jabe enjoy gardening at 179 Poplar Plains. A Christmas gift exchange at Tynedale made for much laughter.
I remember wonderful family gatherings at our home on Poplar Plains and marvel now at how Mom and Dad managed to feed everyone.
Before starting my summer job, I offered to be chief cook and bottle washer for my grandparents so Aunt Helen could visit with friends at Montebello. I noticed a few changes, a stable-turned garage, and something about the steps to the porch. Much had changed since my days of polished white boots. Each morning I applied heat to grandmother's knee using boiling hot bags wrapped with towels. Later I would drive while she did the banking and other errands. I was inspired to serve dinner in the dining room on her beautiful Crown Darby china. Grandmother taught me how to pick asparagus and arranged for me to have golf lessons. My grandmother had many friends. Winifred, her dearest, came each summer to Penryn Park. After Jack died, Norma spent the winter months in Antigua. Friends and family members, including me, visited her there for a week or two. I was amazed to find her knees improved enough for ocean bathing.
4 generations of Hume descendants. Grandmother at 85, Alice, one of 17 grandchildren, mother, one of 5 daughters, and Elizabeth, one of 21 great-grandchildren she knew.
Aunt Peter organized our family reunions. With family spreading outward, Joan was determined to master the computer. Keeping spirits up. A 95th birthday brings the Hume Vanstone branch together. We remember a dearly beloved mother, grandmother, great-grandmother Gigi, and the Hume Gould legacy of love and support.